Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Sparkle English, where I teach you how to improve your level of English. My name is Jennifer and I will be your teacher today. So in today's lesson, I'm going to teach you about periods, punctuation, and how to use spaces. This is a very common error I see all over my channel. People don't know when to use spaces or how many spaces to use after they put periods, exclamation marks, quotation marks, etc. So let's start the lesson. So how many spaces do we use after a period? Well, in the past, with a typewriter, we would use 2 spaces. And that's because when you use a typewriter, the typewriter allows the exact same amount of space for each letter, whereas some letters are bigger than other letters, and so it was difficult to tell when you were actually putting a space. So to distinguish between the sentences, using 2 spaces was better, and that was the rule. So for example, with a typewriter, you would have, I love your cat, period, space, space, how old is it? It's raining, period, space, space, let's go inside. And actually, when I was in high school, we had to use 2 spaces after each sentence. And this was something, even in university, they wanted us to do. However, nowadays, the rule with all the style guides is that you have to use 1 space. Unless you're writing on a typewriter, do not use 2 spaces after a period. It is no longer considered correct. Even on Microsoft Word, if you type 2 spaces after a period, they will mark that as incorrect. So you would write, I love your cat, period, space, how old is it? It's raining, period, space, let's go inside. So only use 1 space after a period. Now, how many spaces do we use after other punctuation marks? Again, just use 1 space. Will you marry me? Question mark, space, I'm in love with you. Should we order pizza? Question mark, 1 space, I'm hungry. And now with exclamation marks, wow, exclamation mark, 1 space, that's a beautiful painting. Be quiet, exclamation mark, 1 space, we're trying to listen to the movie. So after periods, question marks, and exclamation marks, only use 1 space. Do not press the space bar twice. That is now considered incorrect. Note that there is no space before the ending punctuation mark. So this would be incorrect. I saw Jessica today, space, period, space, she looked well. This is incorrect. I see this mistake all the time in the comment section of my videos. So you would write, I saw Jessica today, period, 1 space, she looked well. This is correct. Now, how many spaces do we use after quotation marks? So let's look at this example. We have a meeting tomorrow, my boss said. We have the comma and then the closing quotation mark, and there's no space between that, but then we have a space, my boss said. Is Dave upstairs? Question mark, closing quotation, 1 space, Dad asked. Or if it's before the quotation mark, Brad declared, comma, 1 space, opening quotation mark, I will never speak to you again. So there's either a space after the closing quotation mark or before the opening quotation mark, but not 2 spaces, only 1. So there are some exceptions to this rule. Don't use space before or after a decimal period between numbers. So for example, she lost 3.5 pounds last month. We don't add any spaces before or after this decimal period or decimal point. Can I borrow $10.55? Again, 10, no space, 55. A magnitude 5.3 is a moderate earthquake, and a 6.3 is a strong earthquake. Again, no space before or after these decimal points. Another thing people have difficulty with is knowing how to space initials in a name. Different style guides have different rules on spacing between initials. just remember to be consistent. If you are doing an essay, then make sure to follow the correct style guide. Otherwise, just be consistent. So let's look at these examples. The Chicago Manual of Style. We have J.K. Rowling, J.R.R. Tolkien, C.S. Lewis. You can see that we include a space between the initials. So we have J point space, K point space, and then Rowling. And the same with J point space, R point space, R point space, Tolkien. So remember, this is the Chicago Manual of Style. The other way you can do it is with the AP Style book, where we don't include a space between initials. So J.K. space Rowling, or J.R.R. space Tolkien. So the only space is after the last point of the last initial. So just make sure to be consistent if you want to do it this way or this way. And finally, ellipses and spacing. I have a lesson all about ellipses. And again, different style guides have different rules on how to use spaces with ellipses. So with the Chicago Manual of Style, you can see we have a space before and after each ellipsis point. And with the AP Style book, we only have a space before and after the ellipsis, and no spaces between each ellipsis point. So again, just be consistent. Now we're going to have a quick quiz on spacing and punctuation. Are these correct? So number 1, watch out, someone is crossing the road. Number 2, do you want to go out with me? I really like you. Number 3, my favorite author is J.K. Rowling. Number 4, the pizza cost $12.45. Number 5, be careful, you might spill your coffee. Number 6, have you read any books by L.M. Montgomery? Number 7, don't speak to me again, he said. And finally, number 8, can you come here? Mom asked. Okay, so let's correct these together. Number 1 is incorrect. We have 2 spaces after the exclamation mark. And remember, we only use 1 space. So it should be watch out, exclamation mark, space. Someone is crossing the road. Number 2 is correct. We have 1 space after the question mark, and we only use 1 space. Number 3 is incorrect. And can you tell me why? Remember, there are 2 ways we can write this. We can write J.K. and then a space and then Rowling, or J. space K. space and then Rowling. But in this example, there is no space before the R, so this is incorrect. We need to add a space before the R. Number 4 is correct. We have a decimal point and we don't add spaces between the numbers with decimal points. Number 5 is incorrect. We have 1 extra space here. Remember that with the punctuation mark, it has to go directly after the final letter in the sentence, so we don't have a space here. Number 6 is correct. You can write it like this, L.M. Montgomery, or L. space M. space Montgomery. Number 7 is incorrect. We have an extra space here. We don't add a space between the comma and the closing quotation mark. We just have the space after the closing quotation mark. And number 8 is correct. We have 1 space after the closing quotation mark. Okay, so let me know in the comment section how many you got correct out of 8. Let me know if you have any other questions about spaces and punctuation. And make sure to subscribe to my channel for more lessons just like this one. I will see you in my next lesson.